one of our next guests has uncovered even more details about another of Musk's young deputies. Out front now, Kara Swisher, tech journalist, podcast host who has covered Elon Musk extensively for years in the entire tech world, and Katie Drummond, global editorial director at Wired, which has been breaking story after story on these recent high school and college graduates that Musk has brought to Washington. So, Katie, let's talk about one of these people specifically now. Your latest story is it focuses on a 19-year-old software engineer working at DOGE, someone whose past associations that you have looked into, such that they are at 19, would call into question passing a background check. Of course, that hasn't happened in these cases, but would normally happen in a case with access like this.
One would hope, yes. So this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online. So that would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now working at Musk's behest inside DOGE. And we looked into his background. And so we found several notable things, Erin, one of which is that this individual has founded multiple companies, including one with another unfortunate name, Tesla.Sexy LLC, which he established in 2021. He would have been around 16 years old. Now, this LLC controls dozens of web domains, a handful of which are registered to Russia. Now, that in and of itself is not necessarily illegal, but every expert we spoke to said that that is exactly the kind of thing, those kinds of foreign connections that would raise red flags on a background check. Now, he also worked at a network monitoring firm that is known for hiring reformed black hat hackers, essentially criminals. And lastly, we uncovered Telegram messages that we've linked to this individual in which that Telegram user is soliciting a cyber attack for hire. So actually looking for someone to perform a cyber attack at their behest.
And Telegram, of course, is heavily used in Russia. I mean, it's a definitional social media platform there.
Of course.
So, Kara, you hear this, and you have known Elon Musk for years. So now you look at these young men who are now in data and in the private information about maybe hundreds of millions of American citizens as young as 19, the big balls here that Katie's talking about. Most of them are in their early 20s. There's an exception I'm going to get to in a minute. I'm curious, though, Kara, how well does even Musk know these young men, do you think?
I have no idea. I think there is no vetting whatsoever, as you can see, that's taken place. It took Katie and the really great team. Wired has done an astonishing job here. I could make a joke that's probably why he was hired for all this ridiculous nonsense and other nefarious things. But, there's an expression in technology that's it's a feature, not a bug. This is what they do. They are careless. I don't believe any bit of them when they say they vetted these people. And they're people that will listen to whatever Elon says and do whatever he wants and thinks it's a ball to do this and very funny. And so they're willing to do things, say, adults wouldn't be willing to do or cross lines that they wouldn't be. He wants these malleable young men in particular in order to do this. And they think it's fun, and it probably is for them, being able to hang out with Elon Musk and take down government agencies for them. And the arrogance is massive and the ignorance is even bigger.
It is truly incredible. And I want to ask you about that employee, Katie, because, we've learned about that standoff between a career Treasury official and a top DOGE person who is at Treasury. Now, this particular top DOGE person is not a recent college graduate. This person was a tech executive, so has a long career. But this person, the DOGE guy, wanted all USAID payments immediately cut off, right? That was the goal of the meeting. Career official says that could be illegal, can't do it. DOGE says, no, you could face legal risks if you don't do what I tell you to do. How direct are the threats from these DOGE workers to federal employees who are currently the ones in charge of these crucial systems?
Right. Well, I think that is a perfect example of exactly what's going on, as far as we can tell, inside, every federal agency that we are keeping tabs on. And I think points to exactly what Kara was just saying. This sort of this lawlessness, this carelessness with which all of this work is being done. It really feels as though within DOGE and sort of among these operatives, right, there appears to be absolutely no consideration for the letter of the law or for policy or best practices within the federal apparatus.
Right.
However, of course, legal recourse is being dangled as a threat and weaponized to federal officials who are just really trying to sort of keep things afloat.
Kara, can I ask you just something staring us in the face? I understand that the chief of staff for DOGE is a woman. And I don't know everything about
She's
every
the wife,
employee
she's
there.
the wife of a long time. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know a lot about her. She's the wife of a longtime Lieutenant Steve Davis. I think that's
Okay.
correct.
But all the rest that we hear
US.
about, Kara, are men. And I'm not saying 100% because we don't know what we don't know. But I mean, this is an overwhelmingly male, if not exclusively male enterprise.
Yeah, it's a toxic version of the Lost Boys and Peter Pan. That's what's happening here, and they're toxic. They've got all these. They make threats. In this case, they probably made those threats, and it might not even been true. And these people don't know what to do. Right? They may, nothing they say is truthful. That's the problem. And often Elon does this. He goes into places like whether it's his town in Texas or what he was trying to do with his. With Grok, trying to get this thing going using natural gas and violating laws, or putting a sign in San Francisco, just putting it up without permission, and then said, "Come get me," that kind of thing. This is typical of this: is you cross lines until someone stops you, and even when someone stops you, you keep going until they really stop you, and then maybe you don't stop, but the damage is done. That's really the point: is the damage is already done, and so that's the goal here.
I'm also curious, Katie, because people who say, well, he campaigned on federal spending and there's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. Okay, that's true. But then the other argument that you can make is, well, if that's what you were about, you wouldn't go for USAID first, which Marco Rubio has infamously said. The whole foreign aid budget is less than 1% of the whole thing, right? If you were going for the big money,
right,
you wouldn't have started where they started. Maybe you'd start with the Defense Department. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying you could. And Steve Bannon is actually saying, if you really cared about what you were saying, Steve Bannon, all in on Trump, criticizing Elon, here's what he said.
The one at $1 trillion is across the Potomac. Get an Uber, send an army of the Visigoths over there before a federal judge tries to shut you down. And let's get into something we have some meaningful cuts.
Musk slammed back saying Bannon's a great talker, not a great doer. What'd he get done this week? Nothing. Okay. But I'm interested, Katie. I mean, just that's out in the open. That's an open warfare.
Right. I mean, look, I think that, Bannon has taken issue with Musk on several occasions. This is not sort of new for him to be launching this kind of attack. I do think it calls back to some of the reporting that we published this week, though, around this consternation among Trump's inner circle with regards to what Musk and DOGE are actually doing. And then I would also say with regards to Elon's response, again, going back to what Kara was just saying, this is right out of his playbook. I mean, it's very difficult to keep up with what Elon Musk posts on X, but that specific post at Bannon sort of going after the productivity bit, I mean, that calls back almost exactly to what he had to say to Twitter's former CEO when he took over that company. Right. What have you done recently? Not much.
Here's what, Kara, go ahead.
Can I just, one of the things you're saying is like, there should be cuts, and maybe he has a point. This is what you're walking right into their trap. They should do it by passing legislation. They should do it legally. They're not interested. What they do is they depend on your civility, and including the media is like, well, they have a good point. Well, sure, but this is not the way to do it. And therefore, they've won the battle already because you're agreeing to it, but they're doing it in ways that have nothing to do with legislation, the power of Congress, and other laws. So what's the difference how they do it? Well, it matters how they do it here. And that's why they're running over you, because nobody's stopping them and saying, this is just nonsense. And let me just say, the last thing is they distract with other things, whether it's DEI with plane crashes, everything else. Well, they're doing that. So over here, they're doing the actual thing, which is the actual destruction that you can't take back.
Well, I mean, it is true. Once something happens, sometimes you don't realize what's lost until it's gone. And I know that's maybe a generic euphemism, but has truth in it. Kara, can I ask you, though, because you've known Elon for so long, when I look at his feed, first of all, you can't avoid it, right? The algorithm, it feeds it right at the top. So even if he's not posting as often as it may seem, it looks like he is. But if I go in and I look, the guy is posting all the time. I don't know how any human being, I don't care how a genius you are, can be posting at the hours of the day that he's posting and being all the places he's physically is. People do have to have some sort of sleep. So how is Elon doing this as far as you understand it?
I don't know. There's been reporting about some things he does. I don't know. I don't know how he does it. He's manic. He's a manic person, as anybody who knows. He's up all night. I have no idea what he's doing physically to himself or what he does. He is like this. He jumps from thing to thing. But one of the things he does also is he makes a big deal of it, whether it's sleeping on the floor of things or having couches. It's right. In Silicon Valley, it's called hustle porn. So he just likes to show he's hardcore. He's sleeping on the floor. When, by the way, there's a perfectly good hotel next door. Like it's not necessary, but they try to have this idea of, even with Steve Bannon, you didn't do it any day, I did, or I'm so hardcore, you're not. It's like weightlifters. Like I weigh. It's such ridiculous performativeness on the part of these people. And in fact, they're doing it again for whatever personal reasons they're doing it. It's strange is what it is. And this is not how we conduct business in the government.
Well, and some of these tweets and posts, and I understand the world has changed, so sometimes I hesitate before I say it, but there is just a level of juvenileness to some of this that is hard to square with the huge significance of what's actually happening behind that. But all right, thank you. I really love talking to you both.
Great job, Katie.
Thank you.